automatic projection just like I did here, but it doesn't utilize my texture space to the fullness of its abilities. And what I'll mean by that is you'll see when I go back into texturing it in Photoshop after I've normal mapped it, you'll see the benefits of what I gain from doing that. Alright, so essentially we're just going to start sewing these stupid things back together. So let me just go ahead and select my major pieces here and just kind of get them out of my way so that they don't become obnoxious and start screwing me over. Alright, so once I have that selected, you'll notice though that when I select this green UV here, it actually does select a UV somewhere else around here. I'm not quite sure. Where is that stupid one? Ah, there we go. Alright, the way you can tell that is I'm just going to deselect that and select the vertex. You notice now when I select this vertex, you got that vertex right there is actually the exact same vertex as this one up here. And what does that mean for us? Well, essentially what that's going to mean is that we're going to be sewing this vertex and this vertex back together. But first things first, I'm going to do a few more tricks. Let me just show you of how I can more effectively alter some of my objects around here. So I'm just going to go to face mode and select these faces here. Alright, so you notice now that I got these faces are the ones that have been selected. What I'm going to do now with those is I'm essentially going to go here to cylindrical map. And what's cool is that you can apply multiple cylindrical, essentially you can do multiple planar map, different types of maps on top of these projection maps on top of these objects, and utilize different ones in order to get an effective piecing across all surfaces. So since I did a cylindrical map on that one, it maps these cylinders to this thing more effectively. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this one here, which is the Show Manipulator tool. And you'll notice now that I have this new manipulative tool here, and that I can alter the way my UVs are spread across by just changing this thing. That doesn't really give me anything that I'm quite pleased with, so I'm just going to go ahead and I'm just going to go back to normal. I don't really want that, but essentially that's to show you that you can use different projections to actually change the way you end up doing it. So you can use multiple projections together in order to achieve essentially this correct organization of how these things essentially are set up. Anyway, enough said about that. Alright, so essentially I'm just going to start sewing stuff together. Just go ahead and watch as I do it. I'll give you a few pointers as to what it is exactly that I am doing as I do so. Just go ahead and watch for now. Let me see, essentially I'm picking up this piece here, which is the piece that should connect into this piece, although we have this little portion here that ends up splitting them apart essentially into two different sections. So I'm just going to go ahead and move this on down. That is on my left side of my gun, so that should belong over here. So I'm just going to go ahead and move this up here into this coordinate for now. Select some of these, hold control down, go to shell, and essentially now I have grabbed the top of the back of the gun here. So that's essentially in the middle of my object, so I'm going to go ahead and move that over here, move that back over here. We'll sew that together in a little bit here. Select this one's probably on the right side because it was, yeah, the other one was the opposite. So move that over here. Move that down there. There we go. Now the important thing to know is that since this gun is completely symmetrical on both sides, mirrored in the X, essentially it's a waste of my time in order to create a texture map, in order to have this UV occupy space in this map, as well as this UV occupy its own space within this map. Reason why is because this gun looks exactly the same on the left side as it does on the right. There's no change. There's nothing that's different. Why would I bother having this thing take up its own space while this one takes up its own space? What I can actually do is I can just place them on top of each other, and they'll use the exact same section of the texture that I map in here when I start painting it in Photoshop. Well, actually I'm going to paint it in ZBrush, but essentially that's the goal of UV texturing, is that you got to find the most successful way of being able to piece together the object so that you can utilize this space, because this is the only space you get to work with, and you'll notice that you do run out of texture space quite quickly if you're not efficient on how you map out your UV textures. So that's essentially what my goal is in this project. I'm going to break real quick so that I can split this video in two. I'll be back in just a second.